in person and virtually. And in consideration of others in conducting business tonight, please silence your phones and electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Okay. If you're interested in speaking tonight in the public comment period, public comment cards are right there at the dais at the podium there. And please fill it out and provide it to the administrative recording secretary, and we will provide you with opportunity to speak at today's meeting. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora, and we appreciate and respect your participation here this evening. Roxanne, would you please call a roll?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, I will be conducting oral roll call. Please respond with present when your name is being called. Commissioner David Thomas. Commissioner Patsy C.
Present.
Commissioner Holmes. Commissioner Lammers.
Present.
Chair Hansen.
Present.
Let the record show that all commissioners are present.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will lead you in the pledge this evening. Ready, begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any request to reorder the agenda or additions to the agenda?
Chair, we do have one request to reorder the agenda. Please note that the agenda item number 9, if we can reorder it to be number 8 under unfinished business.
Okay, everybody in agreement with that? No problem.
We need a motion and a second.
Motion and a vote. Okay.
I'll motion to make that change in the agenda.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now we have the public comment period. Public comment is for 3 minutes. These are for items on or off the agenda. So you may speak on anything that is on your mind before the Water Commission this evening. Roxanne, do we have any cards or any hands raised?
We do not.
Okay, then I will close the.
Can I just make officially recognized for the minutes our new Public Works Director?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Very good. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
That actually could have come under the next item for the commission statements and reports.
I'll be quiet now.
Oh, you're gonna be quiet now? Okay. Start the to my right. You have anything you want to say? Greg? Greg's quiet tonight. Mike's quiet tonight. Pat? David? We have nothing yet. Chisholm, do you have one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening. Just a quick update. About 2 years ago, the city entered into an agreement with 2 water agencies, Rolling Water Agency and Walnut Valley Water Agency, to rehabilitate a number of our wells, or to consider an option to rehabilitate a number of our decommissioned wells down in Irwindale. In this endeavor, the city of Pomona has actually expressed an interest in also joining this partnership. And so they did submit a letter, and I wanted to run that by this commission before I send that up to our city management for consideration. It will certainly be helpful as far as funding, but they did express an interest in joining that partnership. So that's number one. Three Valleys is taking lead in this initiative, and as part of that, they are going after a number of federal grants, federal and state grants, and they have requested that we submit a letter of support for this project. which we have drafted. And again, I will run that by this commission. I will send you that letter in the next week or so for your review and comment. And they also are intending to send a letter of funding commitment. And just to be clear, Glendora has committed funding for the study of this initiative to the tune of about $50,000. We are not committing any more funding until the study has been completed. So that is aligned with the letter. However, I will send that for your review as well. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Great. Any commissioner questions? Mike?
Are they joining, Pomona's joining with Roland and Walnut? Are they joining under the joint water line or individually?
Under the joint partnership agreement.
But are they doing it under the Pomona, Walnut, Roland joint water line?
That's what we're currently looking at as part of the study.
Okay.
That hasn't been finalized. The study is about 60 to 70% complete. And so part of that is several options for the conveyance, the water line, but also the treatment facility as well.
Who's doing the study?
Wood and Kieran.
Okay. And you're referencing the old one that was done about
10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yeah, no, this is a brand new study. We actually embarked on this about a year ago or so.
Okay.
Pat?
Is there any impact to the city of Glendora with Pomona joining, or is it just more beneficial with additional funding?
Right. No, this is primarily as far as funding, that's an arrangement that will be determined in the future in terms of what funding arrangements will be made. However, now Three Valleys is leading it. As far as an impact to the city of Glendora, there is no significant impact other than they will benefit from this project. This project is located on city parcel, city property. So again, we'll iron out the details in a later arrangement.
Thank you. Chisholm, what type of timeline are you looking at? You think if they're 50, 60% through the study?
Right. And so we're hopeful to complete the actual study by January of 2024.
Will that dovetail in with any of the rate structure or anything like that? Or is
So we intentionally kept this independent of the rate structure. This is a separate initiative from the rates.
okay? Reports, director, staff liaison reports. We have no attorney present. Now we'll go into public hearing. And the public hearing is to consider the water rate before us. And Chisholm, do you have a staff presentation?
Yes, I do. If we can advance the slide. Yeah, so this report is just to consider the rates. Just a brief timeline and background. In April, the city completed the first comprehensive water assessment of this kind to this magnitude, which identified a number of projects, capital improvement programs for the city to undertake over the course of the next decades or so. In September, we held a special joint meeting with this commission as well as our city council to present the report on the outcome of that water assessment as well as the proposed rates. Since then, we have been very busy, as you can see, in the month of October. We've met with a number of community members. October 10th, we met with Glendora Unified School District to talk about the rates, but more importantly, give these individuals an opportunity to ask any questions. October 12 is when we actually distributed the Prop 218 notices, which our residents and businesses should have received by now. In October 16th, we held a presentation and another outreach event with the Glendora Coordinating Council, which led to an October 17th community workshop. And then we also met with the Chamber of Commerce on October 18th, met with Glendora Country Club, which is a key customer for the city, on October 19th. And here today we have the public hearing. Next slide, please. So on this slide, this is actually the Prop 218 notice that went out to our residents and businesses. It really just talks about the outcome of this assessment, what it entails, why we undertook the assessment, but more importantly, where they can go to get more information. On that QR code is an interactive calculator where folks can actually type in what their consumption is and see what the percentage change should be, whether it's an increase or a decrease, based on where they're located within the city. We also have sort of an interactive map where folks can see where they reside, which pressure zone they reside, which corresponds to their bill. Next slide, please. And so moving forward, again, as mentioned, we have another workshop November 1st, and we intend to adopt the proposed rates November 28th in another public hearing with City Council, and which is really the subject of this presentation is to request for this commission to advise City Council to adopt those rates. And the plan is to have the new rates in effect by January 1st. Next slide, please. And so this is the recommendation, again, is to recommend to the City Council to approve the new rate structure. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Can you summarize for us the meetings you had from October 10th to the 19th? What was the general sense of the comments during those presentations?
No, absolutely. So we presented the reason for the rates, how we came up with the various rate structure. For the most part, our residents are very understanding. This was the first time, majority of them expressed that this was the first time they've received information of this magnitude. And so they were very, very grateful for the information and very understanding of the reason why we're adjusting our rates. So we have not received any significant resistance to date.
Okay. No written comments or phone calls per se that we could add to the record?
I did receive one email from a resident who was just asking how he can get a little bit more information as to which tier he fell under or which property, which pressure zone he fell under. We were able to assist him.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll bring it back to the council or the commission for discussion. Any Pat?
Thank you. Any particular comments from the local businesses? I mean, either the country club, of course, or any of the others through the Chamber of Commerce or directly through businesses? on their input?
Yeah, no. So the majority of the comments received, specifically for Country Club, they do want us to come back in November and present to their board, which we committed to doing. But also, they asked if there's any way the city can assist them. They understand that due to their consumption, the rates will increase, and so the city also committed to performing a comprehensive assessment, utilizing a certified golf auditor. And so we're actually in the process of getting quotes to be able to assist the golf club and identify ways they can use more water more efficiently, which will decrease their consumption, which will impact their bill. So again, they understood the reason and the need for the increases, and we are providing assistance to the extent possible.
Okay, thank you. What about from any other businesses, any of the retail?
Yeah, no,
folks
for the most part, other businesses, there wasn't any key questions. Again, we were very thorough in our presentation and how we laid out the plan, the what, the when, the why. And so there was not any, any significant questions that to my recollection.
All right, very good. Thank you.
David, anything?
For the country club in particular, we've gone to this new zone structure. There used to be 2, now there's 4. So how's the new system affected their basic rate compared to what it used to be?
Well, as far as just based on their consumption, they will see a significant increase in their rates to the tune of about 25 to 30%.
25 or 30.
Yeah, and it's based on a number of things, not just the consumption is a key driving factor, but also, as you mentioned, just due to their location within the pressure zones, but also due to the size of the meters that they have as well.
Okay, thanks.
Let me bring it back to Roxanne. I skipped over the Zoom participants. I assumed there was nobody online.
No, and you can open it now let's go ahead and open it for public comment.
Okay,
If there's anyone in the public.
public comment?
Oh, and there's no one on Zoom.
Okay, no one on Zoom, no cards,
No,
no writtens.
no chair.
Okay. Okay, I'll bring it back to the commission again.
And
No,
we're closing public comment.
Motion to open the public hearing? We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll
Yeah.
go back to sleep.
Okay. In going through the packet for this evening, I just did want to comment on the fact, on the water master plan. I've seen a lot of water master plans in my years, and I have to say it's one of the best I've seen. And I want to thank the staff and the consultants for putting it together. It's a tremendous foundation document to build from. And in the future, anybody who wants to know anything about the Glendora water system, it's a great document to go back and take a look at. So. Okay, so we've had the public hearing and the comments, staff report. We've had discussion from the commission. I'm gonna close the public hearing and then request a motion to recommend to the city council approval of the new rate structure.
I like the motion.
Been moved,
Second.
been seconded. All
I
those-
I have Commissioner CC making that motion and seconded by Commissioner Thomas. I'll now conduct an oral roll call vote. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Holmes,
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Let the record show motion carries 5-0.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So at the last meeting, we were at.
The one I missed.
The one you were at. So we did make the recommendation then to the city council. What's different about that recommendation versus tonight?
This is a public hearing.
Oh, it's just the public.
We had
oh, gotcha.
we had the public hearing. So now we're,
I think last time the recommendation was to proceed with the rate or to move forward
With the
this
next-
process.
The next
Yeah.
prop, okay.
Yeah, once you get the Prop 218 notices out and everything else, so.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Moving on to consent calendar. You have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Greg, seconded by David.
Mhm.
I'll now conduct oral roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Holmes,
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Let the record show motion carries 5-0.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business. We have the fiscal year 23-24 water distribution update for the first quarter. And Jason, you're going to give us this update?
Yes, sir.
Water Utility Supervisor Jason Forsberg, going to give us an update.
Yes.
Great.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Glad to be back. Hope everyone is doing well. I will be presenting the fiscal year 23-24 first quarter water distribution update. Right. So we'll just take a look at some leak history here from our first quarter from July through September. And we will be comparing, so the graph, the blue, so that's fiscal year 22-23. And then the red will be this current fiscal year 23-24. So in July, we had 21 leaks for fiscal year 22-23, and then 42. So we doubled that this current year. And then August 26, and then this current year 49. So we're almost doubling every month. But we did get a little drop off this past September from compared to last year, 40 to 35. Overall, we're at 87 for last fiscal year. And so far right now, we're already at 126 leaks. So we'll break it down a little more detail. Again, blue is last fiscal year, and then red will be this current fiscal year for the first quarter. So main breaks, last year we had 59. This first quarter fiscal year, we're at 94. For service leaks, we're at 16 for last year and 26 service leaks for this year. And then for fire hydrants, we dropped off by half. 12 last year, and then 6 this first quarter. Again, the total last year is 87, and then 126 leaks combined for this fiscal year. I'm just going to go into a little more detail. I know you guys see in my presentations every quarter, I break everything up into detail into 3 categories. We have our main breaks, our service leaks, and then our fire hydrant leaks. So I just want to give a couple examples to you guys. I know some of you are not familiar with the water industry and sort of what we do on our side for distribution. So right here on the left, so that is a main break. That's this past year on Walnut Avenue. And that was a main break that we had occur in the middle of the night. And then on the right is when we exposed it, excavated it, and are making the repairs. So that's a typical main break right there. And that's off a 6-inch steel line from 1955. So this is a service leak. So on the left, you could see the water blasting, and then once we expose it, throttle the line down a little bit, you could see on the right there, right off of the corp, off of the main is where the service is leaking. And so that's just a usual service leak, and we'll run a new service from there. So this is a fire hydrant leak. That's probably about 80 feet blowing up in the air, probably at 100 PSI. That one was knocked off by a delivery truck. We were able to respond within about 15 minutes and safely lower and throttle that down, not to cause any further damage to our water system. So that's a typical fire hydrant break off, and that's usually what we get when we have our fire hydrant leaks. It's usually someone hitting it. Notable first quarter water projects. I'll be going over the completion of the Eagle Ridge Emergency Water and Street Project. I brought that up in my last presentation. I'll be providing updates on that project. So we'll just do a brief overview. So we did install 790 linear feet of 6-inch C909 class 235 pipe, and then another 640 linear feet of 8-inch C909 class 235. We installed 10 water services, 3 sample stations, 2 fire hydrants. We had 3 tie-in locations, installed 11 valves, anywhere from a 2-inch valve up to an 8-inch. And then to finish off the project, we provided street rehab and over 27,000 square feet of new paving and new street on Eagle Ridge.
Did you add new valves to isolate the system better, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So we added in, I believe we added in 2 extra valves right there. And so we'll just go on a quick little journey with some photos here, better represent the project. So on the left, that was the initial leak. After we were able to isolate that leak, dig it up, expose it. And then the photo on the right, you could see the extensive damage to the street. Photo on the left, more damage. So if you see the equipment parked up at the top, the backhoe up there, that's where that main break was. So the photo on the right, that was the hole, and you can see how extensive damage it caused to the pipe. So this is during construction. We were able to place in 6-inch and 8-inch mainline C909 class 235. Installing some valves on the right that go to the booster station right there. So we have a intake line as well, and a discharge line. Like I mentioned before, we had extensive street rehab and repair. So we did have to perform a lot of grading in that area. And you can see that both on the left and the right. And then this is the final product of the street rehab, new paving, new street. And that concludes my presentation. Recommendation that the Water Commission receive and file.
Okay, discussion? Any discussion? Mike? You got,
Thank you.
I see a green light.
Wow.
You don't know what color it is.
That. But thank you for the pictures. It actually does really help a lot to see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
To see that. Can you, or I don't know if you, Chisholm, I think you might have said once before in a previous meeting, but that Eagle Ridge project, what did that cost overall? Do you remember offhand?
Yeah, I believe it was close to $1 million. I want to say the final cost was
I think it was 700.
700,000.
Yeah, let me see what. No, actually, yeah, $694,670.
Basically.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then for last fiscal year, do you, and it's okay if you don't have the number, but do you know how much the city spent in all leaks for all of last year? What was the outlay for?
Well, so, I mean, we break it up into two. For extensive leaks is when we actually bring in emergency contractors. So that's not including staff time. That's just emergency contractors. And we typically budget about $600,000 for 3 of our emergency contractors in the event that we need them to come out. When you add in staff time, of course, I mean, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but we can say we typically budget about 600,000 for leak repairs on an annual basis.
And I don't know if there's a way to quantify this, but I mean, when there's a leak, we lose water. Any idea how much water we've lost through any of the major breaks? Has that been quantified?
No, we do. And I believe for this one, Jason, can you remember off the top of your head how much we lost for this one?
I don't have the numbers on me, but I do keep a water loss record and report that we submit every month. So for every leak that we have, we do an estimate through water loss calculations, and that is all recorded and reported.
Okay. And the reason for that is, as we're talking about possibly raising rates to improve infrastructure, it'd be notable to, about how much we're actually spending to put a Band-Aid on the system and how much water we're losing. We're having a great year this year, but we don't know next year, so I mean, I think those kind of numbers, or just the idea of that expense and that water loss, I think helps to put an exclamation point on the fact of needing that infrastructure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if I could give a little clarification too.
Sure.
And just a shout out to my guys. So the average response time is about 3 days for a leak, and that's just an industry standard. Right now, my calculations are putting us at about 30 hours response time from the time a leak is reported to a time that we go out and repair it.
Great.
So
Very good. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
David?
Jason, the picture that you showed for that particular leak, it looked to me like the pipe had gotten so corroded that it was just wafer thin all on the way
Yes,
to that break.
absolutely.
Is that kind of the nature of the breaks that we're seeing? In
Yes,
these pipes
absolutely.
now?
Yes.
And they're all these steel.
Yeah. So
things?
we have about 48% of our pipeline inventory is averaging age between 53 and 112 years old. And those are the steel lines. And those are the lines that we're seeing breaking.
And I think what I interpreted from the master plan is sort of expediting the pipeline replacement program, where you have these 60, 70, 80, 100-year-old pipes,
Oh, absolutely.
replacing them more rapidly. And then in the long run, that saves the city money.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's definitely the goal.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jason. Okay, we have a motion.
I motion to accept, receive and file the fiscal year 23-24 water distribution update first quarter.
Okay, it's
I
been
second.
moved. Seconded.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'll conduct a roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Holmes,
Yes.
Chair Hansen,
Yes,
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
thanks, Jason. Number 5 on the agenda, I'll ask Principal Engineer Ansari to give us an update on the Engineering Division's Water CIP program.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you very much. Today I will be presenting the update on Engineering Division Water CIP program. There are 5 active projects currently in design or construction, and 1 project is in the closeout phase. 5 projects are from fiscal year 21-22. 4 projects are already awarded for construction, out of which construction of 1 project is started and 2 project start is delayed because of material procurement. 1 project is on hold for state approval for plant shutdown. 1 project is in design phase. Actually, when we prepare our staff report, it is like almost a month back. So there is more update for those projects. The state shutdown project was for the San Gabriel project plant, and that is already completed. But another project is also started, and the part of the water main is already installed in the ground. So there's a pretty good progress from last month to this as of today. And 1 project from fiscal year 1920 project is completing. Paving is done and staff is working on the project closeout. So there's not notice of completion is not done because it is once the pavement is done, all the paperwork is done. Detail for those projects are Bennett, Washington, and Bender water main replacement. Construction started in June 2023. Anticipated completion of the water project and paving is by November 2023. Almost 7,000 linear foot of pipe is placed in the ground for that project. Another project was combined different segments for the water replacement, Cumberland, Palomar, Lone Hill. Those in that area, water main is already in the ground. Services are going to transfer, and that water main will be in service by end of November. That will be followed by the paving. Another project, part of the project, Country Club Vista project is little bit delayed because on 1 location we found out that the proposed water main is close to the sewer main, and then cities approached the state water board to get the waiver to install the water main closer than 10 feet. Mona Loa Linfield Dwell project, the expected construction is in October, but I just received email from the contractor that he is still collecting the materials, and the anticipated start of the project will be in November. It will not be in October. North Glendora replacement design. This is a design project. Design is pretty much completed. I will say 100% completed. We are working on the environmental documents and also working on the feasibility for the access road during construction because of the location of the North Glendora Reservoir is going through narrow private Glendora Street. We are working survey, RFP is in process. So after that survey, we will be more clear from where the construction vehicles will be going through. Last project is Bender Carter Santa Fe. Construction is completed. Project cost was $2.345 million and project completed within the budget. This is almost finished my presentation. Recommendation for the presentation is the Water Commission receive and file the update on Engineering Division Water CIP projects.
Okay, great. Any commissioner discussion? Oh, I have one question. Are you still seeing a delay in the supply chain where
Yes.
materials are slow in being available?
Yes, that is still not only on water material, water, we have delay in our traffic signal projects. It is still in the going on.
Okay. Is it getting better or is it just about the same?
I think it may be little better, but what we start of the project is taking long. Contractor has to wait or have the enough inventory to hit the ground. It's a common practice in the industry that the contractors are not starting or hitting the ground and agencies are not allowing them to start the project. Now, since we are getting close to the rainy season, I will be very careful to allow the contractor to start Mauna Loa project if they don't have all the material and the parts, not only the water main. And we are expecting a wet winter.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Malia. Oh, Pat.
Just one question. Which materials, just out of sheer curiosity, which materials were you seeing, water pipes, I guess? I mean,
Well,
aside from the signals, what other components
you mean for the water?
that you're seeing delays in?
Like only for water projects or overall?
Just, yeah, in general.
In general, we are having like traffic signals, video detection cameras, cabinet controllers, all items that involve any type of metal like traffic signal cabinets or normal cabinets, the one that we see for big services, those are in very, very late.
Are these mostly imported products? Do you know? I just.
No,
curious.
no, and just to kind of add to that, on the water side, Commissioner, what we are seeing is primarily pipes, valves. And these aren't imported products. It's just a back supply. And really, we've seen this since COVID. And so to answer Commissioner Hansen's question, I don't know that it's getting better. I think it's sustained. So we are going to have to start coming up with ways to either procure a lot of these materials ahead of time for the contractor, because they are back supplied. We've seen an improvement since we switched to PVC. You know, different materials have different lag times. You know, PVC, we've seen an improvement in the supply time with PVC as opposed to ductile iron pipe. However, it is, as Malia mentioned, it is similar across all industries. So.
I was just curious because in my industry where I work, electronics that mostly come from Europe it's barely better than it was during COVID. So that's just what made me curious about on the electronic side. So thank you.
Like controller and video detection cameras, they are still like not months, I will say more than a year delay.
I would guess the supply chain issue is also driving up cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, could we have a motion to receive and file update on the engineering division water CIP projects? David?
Second.
Okay,
Okay, so we have a motion made by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner CC. I'll now conduct oral roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Holmes,
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
yes.
Let the record show motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Malia. Okay, now we're gonna have a water conservation update. And we don't have Armando.
No, we don't have Armando. I will try diligently to fill in for him.
Okay, great.
Good evening, Chair Hansen, Commissioners. I'm Russell Ackerman. I'm the Senior Management Analyst in charge of the Water Conservation Unit here at Glendora. Thank you for the opportunity to present the water conservation update. Okay, we're moving right along. Rebates. We didn't have September's ready for the presentation, so I'll read that to you. September, we had 11 applications for the first quarter fiscal year. We've had 55 applications. Last year, we had 58. This year, we have a rebate amount of $6,324.09. Last year was $7,189.44. And clothes washers are the number one rebated item. We've actually updated and changed our rebate program application to make it clearer and easier to read. Water use efficiency survey numbers have gone up. In September, we had 16 surveys, but for the first quarter, we've had 62 surveys as compared to 35 from last year. Violations have gone down. September, we had 14 for the first quarter, total of 27. Last year, we had 102. These are the turf removal applications. Obviously, we officially ended the program in July. However, we had a few late applications. They didn't want to plant during the summer, and so we gave them an opportunity to complete the projects. And we had 2 projects completed in September with 2,395 square feet removed. We rebated $4,790, and the total rebate for the quarter was $9,302. We do have 1 active participant left, and they should be wrapping up by the end of November. And here are some photos. You can see the transformation. The turf was taken out. In the lower right, they've installed subsurface drip irrigation. Here they've chosen artificial turf. We have updated our conservation website. We are including a number of videos. They're short videos, they're helpful videos. They range from leaks to irrigation, and it's a nice resource for our residents to access. And we've actually, with the help of the PIO, we've revamped the entire website and added more features. Oh, yes, and we're fortunate enough to have a resident allow us into their home so that we could film a WaterWise survey and present that as a social media bit. And we thank that resident very much.
We passed, yeah. So, yeah, I was a little nervous, but Ganesh, you knew.
Thank you very much. We've been at different events. We were at National Night Out. We attended the Flashback event, and Don't Be a Water Hog backpacks were very, very popular that night. So we had a lot of traffic. We also were at the Prepare Fair. And we've even done outreach at the police department's community academy this year. So for numbers, September, we had an 8.9% decrease from 2022. Overall for the year, a 16.58% decrease from 2022. Comparing to 2020, September, we had a 29% decrease. And overall for the year, we're averaging 21.89% decrease, which is fantastic. The framework. So this is the latest legislation that is actually in the rulemaking process, and it's referring to the urban water use objective. The legislation was passed in 2018. It aims to make conservation a California way of life. And it's requires that urban water use efficiency standards be set so that urban retail water suppliers, urban water use objectives, together with other water uses excluded from the long-term standards, would exceed the statewide 2020 water conservation targets required pursuant to SBX 77. The standards set new water use reduction targets and new allocations for residential indoor water use, residential outdoor water use, water losses, and commercial, industrial, and institutional, or CII, landscapes that have dedicated irrigation meters. Water uses excluded from the standards include CII indoor water use and CII outdoor landscape irrigation water use not connected to a dedicated irrigation meter. However, these water uses are still subject to CII water use performance measures, including the reclassification of all CII meters. The standards are proposed to change every 5 years. And so you'll see in this slide, for example, the indoor water standard will reduce from the current 55 gallons per capita per day to a proposed 47 gallons per capita per day in 2025. Similarly, the outdoor standard will reduce the landscape efficiency factor from 80% in 2025 to 63 in 2030 and 55 in 2035. There is an error on the slide. The special landscape areas, which are like edible landscape areas or recreational areas, that's actually has a landscape efficiency of 1.0 or 100%. And those do not change. Areas that are identified as special landscape areas do not change in time. Well, so special landscape area is defined in residential properties as edible landscapes like your garden, your vegetable garden. For maybe an HOA or like public agency, you might have a recreational sports field, or you might have a community gathering space. Those are, and tend to be turf, landscapes. And so those special landscapes are receiving the maximum allotment for that particular area because they're considered special. Certainly. The water use objective will be set based on the overall water use of the water provider. Suppliers do not have to meet each individual standard individually. Budgets are not set for individual customers too. That's an important facet.
So the question I have, looking at your table there, whose responsibility is to put in another meter to separate the indoor versus outdoor water use?
Well, for commercial properties,
Residential, are you saying that we're not going to have to do that?
right? Yeah, for residential properties, you're not necessarily required to put in a separate dedicated irrigation meter. It mainly applies to CII properties.
Okay.
And so we have some of those. The regulations say that if you have a CII property and it doesn't have a dedicated irrigation meter, there are other in lieu technologies that you can use to meet the performance measure requirements of that particular
Okay,
property.
great, thanks.
How do you enforce without a audit or something on the homes? How do you enforce these measures coming down the line for water use in a home? I mean, they're saying like 55 gallons per person a day, then it keeps ratcheting down. It's just based on the total water usage, right?
It's based on our population, and it, the number. So for example, it's about, when we switch from now to 2025, it's about an 8 gallon per person per day reduction, which is about a little over an acre foot a day. And that's on a supplier level. So doesn't that's the water supplier is the one who has to meet the objective. So we're obviously, with our programming, we're encouraging, folks to use less water indoors with the clothes washers and the dishwashers. They're swapping out, putting in the new toilets, et cetera. So we're finding ways to help get that per capita down. And this is an objective that, will change in 2030. It will go down even lower. And the landscape is also acting that way as well. The factors that they're using to allot water budgets for landscape will be reduced over time, except for the special landscape areas.
They'll make your backyard and front yard a garden and you get more water.
Well, you get a higher allocation for the water, but yes, I mean, if you're edible landscaping, it does get the maximum amount.
Are they doing the aerial flyovers to try to determine the landscape space? So that's gonna be mandated, right? Is that?
Well, that's already happened. So in 2018, they've already flown over the entire state of California, and they've issued a landscape area measurements. So we have been given that state data. And that is what they're using for the basis for coming up with the formulas. There's other information from our annual reports they use for dedicated irrigation meters and water loss that go into it, and then just our population numbers.
But going back to your bar charts a little bit ago, it looks like City of Glendora as a whole is doing a fairly good job.
Right. Well, we're doing, in terms of when we compare to the 2020 baseline, we're over 20%. So we're doing a great job. This is a new baseline that's coming. And that's kind of what the urban water use objective is they're trying to sort of go beyond what SBX 77 and 2020 standards were.
But we had a lot of rain. That's why the number of uses are down, but we don't get suppliers like Glendora don't get a credit for saving water one year. There's no bucket to put it in to use it in a drier year or next year, for example, right? It's year to year. It's not.
Yeah, every year the objective changes because we will be analyzing the data that we're given, and we may be modifying it. So right now, special landscape areas aren't delineated and into our objectives. So we might be getting a number that changes over time. It may be going up over time.
There's no credit for saving water this year when it rained, and I mean, everybody being the same.
Yeah, the rain, the rain factor is factored into the landscape numbers, but there isn't sort of like a credit for that. And the landscape numbers are based on the regional ETO or the baseline numbers that would be different from agency to agency throughout.
But there would be some value in looking at scalping plants for wastewater treatment, and then returning it back to the city of Glendora, as opposed to going down to the regional sanitation districts. If we could put the reclaimed water into spreading grounds or into direct landscaping.
No, absolutely. And this actually came up in our meeting with the golf course, Glendora Country Club, is there an opportunity for us to utilize reclaimed or recycled water for irrigational purposes? And so, yes, there is an opportunity, and that was actually discussed in our master plan. However, we do have to partner with a larger agency, such as in LA County. We do own our sewer, but it is operated and managed by LA County. And so we would have to partner with a larger agency of that magnitude, or even another city to be able to develop our reclaimed water and use it for irrigation purposes or indirect potable reuse, which is putting it back into the ground.
Or you could dovetail it with your stormwater capture projects.
Exactly. And just to add one more thing to when we developed the proposed rates, the tier structure, we kept this legislation at top of mind. And so for folks who are who stay within that threshold of tier 1 and 2, that will really assist the city in meeting the overall state legislation of 55 gallons per capita per day.
Very good presentation. Conservation rebates, where does most of that funding come from? Is it generated from rates, or is it MWD or Three Valleys, or?
It is generated from our rates. However, we do have, on occasion, we do receive grants from Metropolitan Water District, and we oftentimes look for those grants.
Has the state,
I had been pushing Three Valleys grant money, but now they're out of cycle, so out of funding.
Oh, MWD is,
Three Valleys.
they do with all their money.
We do have some MMA funding from Three Valleys this year, so.
What kind of funding is that?
It's member agency funding.
Oh, MMA.
Yeah, they,
I thought it was a mixed martial arts.
oh, oh, sorry, wait.
No,
Maybe I mispronounced that. I
In-
apologize.
In the past, or Walnut Valley and the Roland District would gobble up all of that money, but
we took every free buck we could.
now we're pushing Glendora.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So, thank you. I'm
Great.
sorry. Mr. Lammers had a question.
has the state come up with a process or methodology for establishing fines to municipalities that don't meet the guidelines? And has Glendora considered if those fines are, how it would be allocated to the customer base?
So the rulemaking process is still in play. It won't be till October of next year that they are planning on actually finalizing this. There is a fee, there is a fine schedule that they have talked about starting in 2027. However, whether or not if you are attempting to comply with the urban water use objective, the state water board has come out and said that they're not necessarily going to fine all water agencies that don't meet the objective. I think you know, with the programming that we're doing with our efforts at trying to curtail water loss, you know, we are certainly making an effort to reach the objective. So it doesn't, you know, and this kind of applies to any agency that is attempting to you know, meet their objective, but doesn't necessarily meet it every year. You may or may not be fined by the State Water Board. And that's the sense that we got from the latest State Water Board meeting just a couple weeks ago, actually.
Simply put, no, the state, that remains to be seen, but they really haven't developed a definitive process for assessing fines to agencies. And that is something we're working closely with the state to see how this is going to materialize.
If that's the case, do we have in our city charters or codes the ability then to fine or pass on those fines to abusers? And I know in previous meetings, we've talked about reaching out to high users to help them educate and whatnot, but do we have that options?
Well, one of the things, yes, we do have the option, and we're actually in the process of redeveloping our ordinances. But that is something that we'll have to look at closely once that comes out from the state. You know, once we have an idea of what we're dealing with, because currently we fine for, leaking items or not fixing items on time or things of that nature, you know, or watering on the wrong days, you know. But once this comes out, we'll have to really take a look at our ordinance and see how we're going to enforce this. Because as Russell mentioned, this is not something the state is looking to each individual household to enforce. This is an agency level enforcement. So,
Thank you.
David, you have a question?
Yeah, I've been seeing some things in the news and I haven't quite followed it. There's an initiative being considered to allow communities to forbid the installation of artificial turf in the future because of the toxic chemical runoff from it. And of course, that'll affect our water conservation measures that we allow. Has been any consideration of this in Glendora about what our position might be?
yeah, so you're right. And that is being considered, and a significant part of our population base. We do use artificial turf as a means to conserve water. So, you know, once that comes out, there's other means that we can implement, such as low watering turf and things of that nature that we'll certainly evaluate once we get there. But again, we'll have to see how that develops in the future.
David, you're very astute. I was going to bring that up in our questions, but in my industry, obviously, we follow these things. The state is looking to do 180-degree turn with the carcinogenic impacts and the PFAS, which is if this material goes into landfills, the liabilities could be put back onto. So I was going to address that if this legislation comes through from the state process, that I would be concerned if Glendora is rebating customers to convert to that
Right.
and our liability associated with that.
We are our rebate program has closed, and so we are no longer having turf removal programs that rebate on artificial turf. We are directing to Metropolitan SoCal Water Smart Turf Removal Program, which does not rebate on artificial turf. So, and we are looking to partner with them as they enhance their program later on this year with the tree incentives that they're going to add to their rebate program. So we're directing Glendora residents to Metropolitan right now.
Is this causing a rethink then on the stormwater capture project at Finkbeiner Park?
Not to my sense. I know, and Malia is no longer here, but we can certainly, I don't know that it'll impact that stormwater capture project to any.
Well, because I think they were talking about ripping up all the athletic fields and then putting in artificial turf.
Okay, I think you're thinking about Louis Pompey Field.
Well, I think at Finkbeiner Park too.
Let me look into that.
Presentation we had a few months ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Well,
Again, Louis Pompey also.
yeah, no,
there.
Louis Pompey is a significant one. So that's definitely something we'll look into. I know that project is about 70% complete. So that'll certainly be ahead of this legislation. But if Finkbeiner, if this legislation comes out before we complete the design of that project and or construction, absolutely, we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
But let me get more information on that, Chair, and get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
All that being said, then, I mean, I don't know if there's some sort of approval. Do residents need approval to rip out their grass and put in turf right now? Aside from a rebate program, can Joe Citizen just take out his grass and put in turf right now? So then is there going to be any consideration to mandate that that's not allowable then? I mean, if
It could, but there's no legislation that prohibits it right now,
Okay,
but it
gotcha, okay.
could in the future.
so, then that's
It-
something
it-
we might have to address
Right.
at some point.
No, absolutely. It could. And again, we'll have to see how that will be enforced. Most likely it will be at the agency level to enforce that. So we, as an agency, we have to determine how to outreach and education to and educate our public on that endeavor
Not do
and
that,
see what
yeah.
that looks like.
And I did just have one question on the indoor water budget. I don't think I understood the discussion. Is it going to be measured at each house individually, or is it going to be more of averaged out citywide as far as those 2025 and 2030 levels?
Right. So it'll be our total population.
Okay.
Per capita. It
Not
won't
per each
be,
individual house.
right.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
So are we eating up all your time?
I'll just cut the last half here.
Okay.
Well, actually, this is the last slide. So, interagency collaborations, we are working, with SoCal Gas. Our program was put on hold. SoCal Gas has hired a new vendor, and we are relaunching that residential program for indoor plumbing fixture upgrades and smart controllers. We'll be conducting some outreach in December with a full launch in January next year. We have been working with the Glendora Unified School District to schedule on-site water use efficiency surveys for the rest of the schools that we didn't get during the last holiday break. So we're hoping to complete all the schools by the end of this year. WaterWise Consulting, we are developing a new commercial water use efficiency assessment and plumbing fixture upgrade program starting next year. In fact, today we reached out to members of the chamber to begin promoting the new program. And finally, Eagle Aerial Solutions, they offer a GIS based product called WaterView that provides customized tools and enhanced data to meet the water conservation requirements of SB 606 and AB 1668. We're reviewing their product as a potential tool to help us with compliance. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, I think we've interrupted Russ enough in his presentation, but is there any more discussion? Okay.
So I did attend the Prepare Fair. And I got this cool gadget at our booth that I'm a middle-aged man and I'm embarrassed to say I never knew existed. It was the water moisture meter.
Oh, yes.
When you stick in the ground.
Mhm.
Just never ever thought to go to Home Depot and look for one of those, right? Man, that was overwatering. And it's like, I mean, I don't know if we could just like, send out a helicopter and drop one to every resident and say, here, use this before you water. Because I literally was just watering blindly. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that they were giving those out. I'm really glad I got one. And if there's a way to push more of those out there, so here, use this, because as simple as it is, it's now I go out there. Oh yeah, I need water. Oh no, don't need water. And I use it religiously now ever since then.
Good.
So I'm
Fantastic.
glad you guys have those.
Thank you. Thank
So-
you. Yes, those are very popular. We try to get out as many of those as we can.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
I just want to say thank you for a great
Yeah,
presentation.
great
Thank you very much.
presentation, Russ. Great,
Very
real
much.
good. All right, have a motion?
Sure, motion.
Been moved, second.
Second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner CC and seconded by Commissioner Thomas. I'll now conduct a roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Holmes,
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Seven. Okay. Stepping to the podium now, Ron Nitschke, the Water Production Supervisor, is going to give us an update on water production. So Ron?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, fellow chairman. This update is on Booster One and also our chlorine infrastructure project. If you recall, the last meeting, Booster One was out of commission due to mechanical issues, as you can see in that center picture, where we had to take it out to, we were waiting at that time for feedback from the pump company to see the pump was too far out on curve and wasn't pumping efficiently, which was also part due to the damage that was done to the pump itself. After our meeting, it was determined that we would have the impellers trimmed down to get it more in line with the proper pump curve, which is what has been done. This pump would have been installed, but it also coincided with the other report on this project with the chlorine installation. Both these, where the location on this pump is close to the panels that the electrician would have been working in for the chlorine system. So this pump should be installed hopefully within the next week or two, pending a schedule. This is the beginnings of the installation of the chlorine skid pumps at the San Gabriel plant in Azusa. You can see that there are still a few existing pump skids in the back of the photo that have not been installed. This was just determining the setup on how we wanted these chlorine skids to be set. Since then, this project has been completed. During this time of the installation of this system, because we weren't able to produce or pump chlorine, we had to purchase our water through MWD. And currently we are done, so we are off and back to our own city water. I do have some updated pictures of those completion pump skids I can give you to take a look at. Next slide. And this is the other facility up at the water yard at well 13. You can see with the photo on the left, the original pumps that were in place at the time. They were German pumps, and part of the issue was that getting parts for these was very difficult. There was a lot more work and maintenance involved. The new pump skid that is in place is much easier maintenance wise. The manufacturer is here in Southern California, so getting parts is just a matter of days instead of a matter of months to get parts for. They're much simpler, much easier for my staff to work on and maintain. And they have a lot more bells and whistles on them. So being able to monitor these pumps will be much nicer for us as well. If I can, I'd like to, and this is the pump skid that was going in at that well 13 site. And just the electrical work was going in. If I may, I'll just give you these pictures that show you. It's the updated photos. Updated photos of the completion of the pump work. The last picture on those in that packet is of the well 13 pump skid completion. And I believe that's the last, just a brief, not as long as the conservation.
Well, we're gonna have a lot more questions for you. Okay, any discussion from commissioners?
How's the water supply, your static water levels are?
Static water, actually dynamic, I can tell you dynamic right now is 56.2 feet
How does that
out at
compare
San
to-
Gabriel and Azusa.
is
We've
that-
been fortunate with the runoff, the snow and that in my 25 years, I have not seen those spreading grounds out at Azusa full all summer.
Yeah,
And this is the first time I've seen that.
so.
And hopefully it'll
Dynamic
continue.
is good. I mean, it's higher than you've ever seen it. And
It's not quite as high as I've ever seen it,
Yeah.
but at 56 feet for pumping level, that is good. It would probably, I think it would be somewhere in the 40 feet for static, which is very good for out there. So we are able to produce, we're pushing out right now currently about 7,600 gallons a minute.
and it's cheaper electricity, you don't have to, the head is lower, so on that. So what do you dose that? What do you dose that?
Where our target is 1 part
One
per
part.
million, which is about half of, a little bit, even more than half than what we were getting from MWD. Their target is about 2.5 parts.
Other questions? I had one question regarding, and maybe this is for Chisholm, does the city have a Made in America policy? Ron just mentioned about the parts being from Germany and a little bit harder to get to. And I think there'd be great value, not only just in Southern California, but in the United States as a whole, as far as getting parts and supplies. If there was a little bit of a premium value put on local supply.
I know we certainly encourage it. I don't know if it's a policy that we have that's memorialized, but I do know we certainly, as much as we can, we do try to buy locally as much as possible. Due to what Ron said, it's just the parts are easier to maintain. However, if we have an official policy, I can look into that and get back to the commission.
And from a maintenance standpoint, as Chisholm said, I definitely do look for that. And it adds to consistency and just an ease of maintenance for us in general.
But when you can go down the freeway and pick up the part and have it back in operation, like in the same day, then it's great value to the community. So.
Just a word of wise, if the city were to promote a Made in the USA, actually promote it publicly, there's very stringent requirements on what that actually means. There's been companies out there that have promoted themselves as our products made in the USA, and they realize that the chain of custody of the materials in the supply chain aren't fully, or it's manufactured in the USA, which is different than made in the USA or assembled in the USA. So it's just, we're not making a product here, so I don't think that would apply to us, but you just got to be careful if you're going to say that if we ever did promote that as, oh, we're a city that, just the language can get fuzzy on whether we truly are doing that or not.
Absolutely appreciate that comment. And let me get some more information and I will disseminate that to the council, to the commission.
Okay. We have a motion to receive and file water production update. Been moved, seconded.
Yeah. Second. Whatever you need.
Was it moved by Commissioner Lammers?
Right, seconded by Holmes.
Wonderful. Now I'll conduct oral roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Holmes.
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, new item number 8, reordering the agenda, water supply, outlook, Water Division Manager Dale Wirt.
Evening, Commissioner. Hope you all are well. I'm here to give you the local water supply outlook for this last quarter. Oop, I want you. That is not mine.
Yeah, we're moving it.
I apologize. There we go. Thank you very much. No worries. So first slide here. Oh, I did it again. So City of Glendora has received a total of 42.7 inches of rainwater as of September 30th, 2023 for the year. We currently have 29.78 inches above the city's annual average for rainfall, and the rain gauge that we use is located in our Water Division's operations yard.
Hate to interrupt you already, Dale, but if we are headed into a wet El Nino year coming ahead,
Yes.
lessons learned from last year, is there anything we would do differently with a heavy rainfall year coming up?
Not that we have really looked into, but we can take that back and shoot over. As far as our Water Division, we're not dealing with a surface type of water, but we're dealing with groundwater. We'll see how this winter comes and how, if we get any higher in those pumps and what happens.
Yeah.
We saw some differences on some of our panel maintenance, just as an example. They came out to do some panel maintenance and we're measuring some amps. It looked kind of odd, but the water is a little higher than it normally is this time of year. So we're looking at different things like that that might affect operations that way.
Right.
And Mr.
Supply-
Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if I can add to that, I know from a regional sense, there's certainly a lot of lessons learned. I know, and one of them being that since we receive so much water, we are losing that percolation rate in our Santa Fe spreading grounds, and this is a challenge that Water Master is dealing with. And so what that does is right now, the Santa Fe spreading grounds typically percolates at about 400 CFS. Right now, it's about less than 100. And so, if you drive by the 605, you see all that water sitting there, and that's because it's not percolating at the rate that it should be. And so that is a huge lesson learned. Because what happens is if we do get another El Nino or another wet year, you're going to start losing a lot of that water from the main San Gabriel down into the central basin. So what we're trying to do from a regional perspective is, since we got so much water, we purchased a lot of water from Metropolitan Water District, Water Master did, and they are trying to charge that water into the basin. However, we just have to find a balance, because now if we get another wet year, we're losing free water, right? And so that's something that we just have to keep in mind. And I think that's a huge lesson learned from a regional perspective.
Are you hearing from a broader regional perspective? I mean, if the water is captured in the central basin, it's not good for us, but it's good for Southern California. So is in general, are all of the groundwater basins perking at a very slow rate right now because it's last year, and so we're going to lose a lot to the ocean?
Yes, you can say that. And again, it's just due to saturation. I know one of the things that we're looking at is additional pits for charging water into the ground basin. Again, this is something that Metropolitan is coordinating with the county to see what we can do about that. What about the from
LA County, from the operation of Cogswell and Morris and San Gabriel? Or is there any thought that maybe they'll fill those up this winter if we do have a wet year?
Well, I know currently at San Gabriel, they're still dredging that reservoir, which they've been doing for the past 2 years and continually being interrupted by the rainy season. But that remains to be seen. I don't know whether the plan for LA County is to disregard that project and just fill it up, or if they will continue that project, which means though, if they continue the project, they'll continue releasing water down, which will continuously impact the saturation rate and that percolation rate.
Yeah, but you'll still have high water in the San Gabriel, the Canyon grounds and Santa Fe grounds. So
Yes,
I
we
mean,
will.
even though it's not perking as much, there'd be a lot of water in there.
No, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
Great. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. No
Go ahead.
worries. So what we have before us is rain comparison. Blue is 2020 to 2021, red is 2021 to 2022. And green is 2022 to 2023. We've had obviously a significantly heavier rain year this year comparatively. And the overall totals, as you can see there, from left to right in those months. So for 2021, we had 0.84. And then we had 1.04 and 7.3 for 2023. And those are for the last quarter of the months, July, August, and September. In fact, brief note, this last rain we had yesterday, we got about 0.4 of an inch at the water yard. Next, we have imported deliveries, July through September of 2023. The following agencies did not make any deliveries, or made deliveries. That's a typo, I apologize, to the San Gabriel River. Upper District was MWD was delivering water. Watermaster called, total of 125,000 acre feet over a 300-day period. It was stopped when Tropical Storm Hillary came through and was reinstated on September 15th because the river basin conditions allowed. In August, they dropped 6,857 acre feet of that. In September, they dropped 4,600 acre feet of that. And in a future slide, you'll actually see the water continually being entered into the river. Three Valleys Municipal Water District made no deliveries in the months of July, August, or September. San Gabriel Valley Municipal during July of 2023 delivered 730 acre feet to the San Dimas Wash, 175 acre feet to Big Dalton Wash, and 1,000 acre feet to the San Gabriel Canyon. During July of 2023, San Gabriel District did not make any deliveries into the river. And during August 2023, San Gabriel District plans to deliver about 800 acre feet to the San Dimas Wash, 130 acre feet to Big Dalton Wash, and about 1,150 acre feet to the San Gabriel Canyon. During August of 2023, San Gabriel District did not make any deliveries to the San Gabriel River, and they didn't make any in September either. San Gabriel River, San Gabriel Reservoir. The first picture on the left is from June 29. And then we have our September on the right side. They're still dredging up until now. I don't know when they're planning to stop. I heard that the date would be sometime in November. They came back to actually remove an additional 40 feet of silt from what would be the west side of the dam. So if you're looking at the picture now, that would be on my right-hand side and your right-hand side. And they do intend to fill it during the rainy years. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get all that out that they need. Next slide is Morris Reservoir. Not much changed, but all the water is passing straight through San Gabriel into Morris. So it's been pretty steadily filled. Again, those two pictures are about 3 months apart. This is USG 3 within the same period. As you can see at the bottom, water is continuing to come out. It was, like I said, it was briefly stopped due to the hurricane season, but again, reinstated. So we do have water entering from Metropolitan Water District through USG 3 currently at this day.
Thank you for taking pictures at the same exact spot. So it's a true
I'm
comparison.
doing it. Yeah. So no. California and Colorado projects rain and snowpack. For information, snowpack has diminished over all the states. There was no reporting available there. Storage on the Colorado system conditions, Lake Powell at 37% and Lake Mead at 34%. As of today, Lake Powell is at 36 and Lake Mead is at 34. Storage in California system is at 87% of average total time. This was done in September. As of today, we're just about 78%. So we did go through some of our water. And the California state water supply allocation still remains at 100% as of September 20th.
Isn't it in December that the state comes out with the allocation?
They come out with there's three. The preliminary allocation is in December.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it'll probably be 100%.
Yes, likely will be 100%.
Key well information as of September 29th, 2023, the Baldwin Park Key Well groundwater elevation was 226.9 feet. That was a decrease of over 5.6 feet over a 3-month period. On November 21st, 2018, the Baldwin Park Key Well groundwater elevation low record was set at 169.4. As of October 13th, that reading is 227.12, up about 0.3 of a foot. Water production and treated purchases through the months of July, August, and September. Well production for July is 600.4 acre feet. August was 704.4 acre feet. And in September, we produced 819.1 acre feet. We didn't purchase any water within that quarter, July, August, and September from Metropolitan Water District. Again, there's our water production kind of graph comparison between fiscal year 2022, which is kind of the light color, and the purple color represents fiscal year 2023. We've outproduced each month, again in this quarter also of this year, due to the high water levels in the wells. It's better for our specific capacity, which is the ability to produce more water per foot that we draw those wells down. That concludes my report unless you have any questions. No worries. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
No worries.
Motion.
Been moved. Second.
And who's to give the second? Commissioner Thomas? Okay, motion was made by Commissioner CC, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. I'll now conduct a roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Holmes,
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're not done yet. Now moving on to new business. We have an update on my request, water supply partners with the city of Glendora, and Chisholm, you're going to provide us an update?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do recognize it is before dinner hour, so I will try to be as brief as possible. But as mentioned, this is an update on some of the key partners that we use here in Glendora as far as water operations. I want to take a step back and talk about Southern California's water supply portfolio. We do have a very diverse supply here in Southern California. It's primarily broken up into local supplies, which makes up 45% of our water supply, and imported water, which is about 55%. That graphic on the right, the pie chart shows that breakdown. Local supplies is consistent primarily of groundwater. Also, conservation is now seen as a water supply, under the auspice that the less water that we use, the more water we have available for other supplies. Also, recycling or reclaimed water, and then desalination. As far as imported water, there's two prime sources, Colorado River, which makes up about 25% of that 55% of imported water, and then the State Water Project. One thing I should note is Metropolitan, which is a regional water supplier, as part of their pure water system, which is an advanced purification treatment plant that they are developing in Carson, The idea is to really change that pie chart so that we can get more of that local supply, that drop-proof water, and change that to the tune of about 55% local supply and 40 to 45% imported. And again, that's just more reliability on the local supplies. Here in Glendora, our water supply landscape is a bit different. We are very fortunate in that we have a robust supply of local water here within the main San Gabriel Basin. So oftentimes we're able to meet 100% of our demands with local supplies. Generally, we do augment the supplies with imported water when we have maintenance on our plants or when we have consecutive dry years to where our groundwater supply has depleted. But you can see our main source of local supply is the groundwater as well as conservation. And then we're also fortunate in that we can get, when we do get imported water through Three Valleys, we have the ability to get both Colorado and State Water Project. There are municipalities who they don't have this fortune. You know, I know folks like Pasadena and Glendale, they purchase about 40% to 50% of their water, which is much more cost intensive. So just talk about the local supplies. Again, we have a number of groundwater basins here within the LA County. As far north as the Upper Los Angeles River Association basins. This includes the Verdugo Basin, San Fernando Basin. As you can see, Glendora, as identified by the red star, we are located within the main San Gabriel Basin. And as a matter of fact, if we zoom in a little closer within the main basin, off to the right there, you can see where our wells are located. We have a total of 8 wells within this basin. In the center is what is known as a Baldwin Park Key Well, and this is what is used to measure the basin level, the level of that water elevation within a basin. You heard Dale talk about the current level of the main San Gabriel Basin. Currently, it's at about 227.2 feet. I did check this morning, so there has not been an increase for about a month or so now. But this chart shows you how we're trending as far as the water levels within the basin. And so you can see, really as of December, January of this year, we have seen a tremendous increase just due to the great rain season that we received. And we're expecting that to continue to increase up until next year as well. So just kind of talk about the local water supply partners. Our main supplier is, our main partner, a key partner for us is the main San Gabriel Basin Water Master. And simply what they do is they manage and control the withdrawal and replenishment of water within the basin. And they also determine what the annual, safe annual amount of water to be extracted from the basin is. And this is also known as what is called the operating safe yield. So this is an adjudicated basin, meaning we have prescriptive rights within a basin. Currently, our prescriptive percentage is about 4.7% of that operating safe yield, which is about 150,000 acre feet. So right now, our rights are about 4.7% of 150,000 acre feet, which amounts to about 7,000 acre feet. That operating safe yield is directly related to the amount of water that we get from rainfall. So if we do have another great rainy season, that operating safe yield may very well increase from $150,000 to $180,000, which will increase our prescriptive rights within a basin. Other key roles for Water Master, they coordinate the efforts to preserve and restore the groundwater quality, and they oversee the approval of any well treatment facility modifications. So if you were to try to extensively modify any of our existing wells, we would need to get approval or at the very least coordinate with the Water Master. Another key supplier is the main San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority, or WQA. In the 1970s, industrial contaminants were identified in this groundwater basin. The contamination was believed to have been due to decades of improper disposal of industrial products, and actually resulted in water suppliers shutting down a number of their wells within this portion of the basin. And this is what is known as the Federal Superfund, which is an initiative to try or to attempt to clean up the basin. WQA, they actually lead that effort. And so they coordinate the cleanup of groundwater contaminants, primarily through acquiring grants, state and federal grants for local water agencies to install treatment facilities. And then we also have the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District, which we are a member agencies to. And their primary responsibility is to replenish the water within the main San Gabriel Basin. They also provide water to 26 water retailers, which encompasses about 1 million individuals within the San Gabriel region. But I should note that when we do want to replenish, because again, we have a prescriptive amount of rights within the basin. So if we go over those rights, it's our responsibility to purchase imported water and replenish the basin. We import our water from Three Valleys for replenishment purposes and not Upper San Gabriel. Upper San Gabriel primarily works with Watermaster to import excess water when we have great rainy seasons such as this, where we have additional water from either Metropolitan or from the State Water Project system. Watermaster works or coordinates with the Upper San Gabriel Basin to be able to store that water within the main San Gabriel Basin. And then additional partners is the Los Angeles County Flood Control District. We don't work with them directly, but their main role is to capture precipitation or any rain or runoff. They also operate and maintain a number of key facilities within the basin. You can see they have about 5 dams that they operate, the Cogswell Dam, San Gabriel Dam, Morris Dam, Santa Fe Dam, and Whittier Narrows Dam. And again, they also maintain and operate the Santa Fe Spreading Grounds, which is located in Irwindale at the 605-210 interchange. Again, that's the issue that we were discussing earlier regarding the percolation rates. So just kind of switch gears and talk about our imported water supply. Again, we have 2 sources, as noted on this map, the Colorado River to the east, and Lake Powell and Lake Mead are critical facilities on that system. But we also have, from Northern California, we also have the State Water Project system. And so the main partner or supplier of imported water to the region is Metropolitan Water District. They are a consortium of about 26 member agencies, and they operate and provide water to about 19 million people in Southern California. Across 6 counties, Los Angeles, Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, Ventura, and San Diego counties. And they are the owner and operator of the Colorado River Aqueduct. And they're the largest contractor on the State Water Project system. So they receive, when we have 100% allocation, such as this year, they receive almost 2 million acre feet from that system. And this map is just a map of all of Metropolitan's member agencies. They operate as far north as Calleguas Municipal Water District, as far south as San Diego County Water Authority, which is shown in the teal color there on the bottom of the screen. And again, you can see where Glendora is located on this map by the star. We are within the Three Valleys Municipal Water District, and we are a member agency to them as well. So when we say we get water from Metropolitan, we actually get the water from Three Valleys Municipal Water District. So we're a sub-agency to Metropolitan through Three Valleys Municipal Water District. And so just a bit about Three Valleys. They have 13 local water supply member agencies encompassing about 133 square miles. This includes Pomona, Walnut, in the East San Gabriel Valleys as well. And they provide water to over 500,000 people. And you can see all of the member agencies on this map. And so that concludes my presentation. And the recommendation today is to receive and file this update and provide any additional direction as necessary.
Great. Thanks for the update, Chisholm. Any questions from?
Just a comment that, thank you for that. I'm a visual guy, so seeing the maps like that really helps. So thank you.
Greg, you got anything? No? Oh, you need to get home. You sound pretty sick. Thanks, Chisholm, for that update. This was Water 101. And I think later in the year, we're going to go to advanced calculus. And we will see all of the interaction with the agencies. I think the reason I asked for you to put it on is because not only do we have a relationship with all these agencies, but we're also paying into these agencies. And our goal here is to make sure that we have a dependable, reliable water supply at the lowest possible cost. And I know that we need to work hard at getting the funds back out of those agencies as well. And so there's a lot that you and your staff are working with and working through. So thank you very much for the presentation. With that, can I have a motion to receive and file? Got David, Pat.
I'll first or second, whichever you
Okay.
like.
First
All
or
right.
second, yeah.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Okay, and just to make sure I got it correctly, it's been motioned by.
Either one of those guys.
Wonderful. Okay, so I have Commissioner CC motioning it and second by Commissioner Thomas. I will now conduct oral roll call. Commissioner CC,
Yes.
Commissioner Lammers,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas, Vice Chair Holmes.
Yes.
Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Let the record show motion carries 5-0.
With that, on the recommendation there, I think as Chisholm's asking for any additional direction that he may want to bring back to the commissioners for just a information update, so we have a better understanding of the water system. I guess the only other thing I would say would kind of related to this would be kind of pick and choose out of the water supply master plan. Again, like I said, I think it was a tremendous report, and there's some things that the commissioners may not be aware of, well locations, reservoir locations, boosters, zone in on different pressure zones within the city, but stuff like that, just to keep us informed.
Absolutely. We will put together a report for the next commission.
Okay.
Thank you for, that was very detailed.
Yeah.
And I was on vacation when Roxanne sent it. I do not recommend reading it on a phone.
No.
My eyes were glazed over. I'm like zooming in but I was trying to, I wanted to see it before the meeting here because I just got back last night from vacation, but I'm gonna look through it again on the computer, but my God, there's so much information there. Is that typical for a report like that to be
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, good then,
But
because
it was very well done.
yeah.
yeah.
So
And, and for the record, I just want to make sure, so we are receiving and filing this, and the second for providing additional direction is just to keep the commission informed.
Right.
And we are keeping the same motions that we had just done.
That's correct.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great. All right, before we close, any final comments from commissioners? We've discussed everything pretty good. So good, great. Thank you very much. And we are adjourned.
At 7:40.